So how do we now prevent mad cow disease from spreading? Well, after the discovery of prion disease, governments have developed laws that prevent the process of feeding cows to other cows. What we do instead in the United States, the UK, and many other areas around the world is that they will take these unused parts of cows and feed them to pigs and chickens, and then use the unused parts of pigs and chickens and feed them to cows. So while the cows are no longer cannibals, they're still eating meat when really their digestive systems did not evolve to be able to do that. Also, keep in mind that we don't know for certain that BSE cannot be transmitted to other organisms. In fact, we know that BSE can be transmitted from cows to humans, and so it can cross the species barrier. We, based on scientific studies, recognize that it is unlikely for BSE to transmit from cows to pigs or chickens, and then from pigs or chickens back to cows. But we did just discover this disease about 20 years ago. So we don't still fully understand all of its mechanisms. Also, promoting the purchase of organically raised cows where they eat just grass, and clean butchering practices which don't use industrialized butchering factories can also reduce or mitigate the risk of transmitting mad cow disease to humans. After the discovery of mad cow disease and what it was, it turns out that humans had seen these types of diseases before. They just didn't know what was causing them. One of these is fatal familial insomnia. This is a disease that was found in the 1980s and 1990s, roughly around the same time as mad cow disease. As you can possibly tell by the name, familial insomnia tells you that this is a genetic disease carried from parent to offspring. It's also a form of insomnia, and which begins as the patient is not able to sleep and eventually progresses to panic attacks and hallucinations, weight loss, dementia, and eventually death, hence the fatal familial insomnia. This disease, fatal familial insomnia, takes about 1 year from the beginning of symptoms to progress fully through the disease and into death. As you can see, even though fatal familial insomnia is caused by prions that replicate as single protein molecules in the brain, the end result is slightly different on the brain tissue. There are no holes in the brain. So this is not a spongiform encephalopathy. It doesn't cause the brain to take on a spongy look. But you still get aggregates of these prion structures as you normally would in CJD. Another disease that's caused by prions that's been seen in humans for about 100 years is Kuru. Kuru was first discovered in the Fore people of Papua New Guinea. It is a disease that causes shaking, loss of muscle and motor control, eventually leading to death. It turns out Kuru was a disease that was a result of ritualistic cannibalism, where the way the Fore people honored their relatives that had died is they would consume parts of the body of their dead relatives, thereby keeping their relative with them for the rest of their life. Unfortunately, while the men of the village would get the heart tissue, the women and children would eat portions of the brain. One human at some point in the Fore people had randomly resulted in forming the pathogenic prion structure. in their brain. Without cannibalism, they would have died, not passing this on to relatives or anyone else. But as a result of cannibalism, these pathogenic prion proteins in their brain ended up infecting relatives, causing prion disease in their relatives. This eventually led to many people in the Faure people developing Kuru. All that needed to happen was the Faure people needed to stop cannibalizing their relatives, and as was seen in the early 1900s, Kuru disappeared entirely from this group. All of these diseases are untreatable, and the only thing to do is to avoid acquiring them in the first place. Well, that's it from the mad cow disease lecture. Good luck on your quizzes and assignments.